It's all happening tonight, eh, Alf?
Don't knock it. No. You and your big mouth. Ashfordley Police Station.
How is he?
He's suffering from smoke inhalation principle.
What wrong?
What happened to your arm?
Oh, it's a burning timber.
It doesn't feel broken. You should get to the hospital as well and have it checked out, just in case.
Right, doctor.
What do you reckon then, David? Well, it's certainly big enough.
On a Sunday afternoon.
I've always had an irresistible attraction to big houses. I reckon in a previous incarnation, I'd have been a regular customer of old Versatility Brown.
Versatility who?
Brown, David. Surely even you've heard of him. He could turn his hand to anything, could old Versatility. Country seats, cathedrals. Now this is the dining room, where I shall entertain the dignitaries of the county. And through here is the drawing room, where I shall no doubt while away many a happy hour with a glass of port in one hand and some famous scribe in the other.
Well, so you're definitely going to have it then?
Bought and paid for already, David. Come and have a look at the bedrooms.
So, where does that leave me then, Mr. Vernon?
Here, with me, where else? In fact, I see a new role for you as my very own butler.
No, I don't think I could do that. I mean, I don't get on right well with these great big houses. I mean, every time I turn a corner, I'll see a ghost or something. No, I'll be much happier in the cottage.
Cottage is going on the market, David.
Well, what about me? Hey, you never said anything about that when you moved in.
Excuse me, but if I remember rightly, when I bought that house, you just sort of stayed on, like part of the furniture.
All right, well, that won't be a problem. I'll just look for somewhere else to live and then I'll just sort of move on then, shall I?
Well, if that's the way you feel, be my guest, of course.
Well, yes, I will. But, of course, I won't be your guest. Well, not for much longer, anyway.
Right then, Mrs. Winstanley, the dosage is on the bottle.
Lovey, I don't need no bottle to tell me that. When I first went on these, Lester Tilly was still a chorus girl.
Now you take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Is this all the mail there is?
Afraid so.
How are you?
I'm fine.
The night watchman mentioned seeing or hearing anything suspicious.
Well, he wasn't in any sort of shape to mention anything, really, Sarge. And over at the hospital, they wouldn't let us near him.
Who owns this place, anyway?
A company called Pike Textiles. The head office is over in Ashfordley.
You spoken to them?
Alf tried to get hold of the owner last night, but couldn't find him. Peter Pike.
Right. Get yourself over to Asfordley, see if he suffers yet. I'll send Ventress to the hospital, find out if the night watchman's in any state to be questioned.
Right, Sarge.
Bernard? Bernard? What's all this, then?
What's it look like?
Well, it looks like there's more than a bob or two in this little beauty.
What would you be thinking of, Vernon?
Well, don't you realise, Bernard, people had killed to go to their maker in one of these and pay twice the usual price for the privilege.
Look, I've not spent 6 months doing that up just for the money. As you very well know, collecting funeral memorabilia is my hobby.
Yes, well, I know that, whatever turns you on. But I'm telling you, Bernard, what you have got here is a little gold mine.
Never mind that. What's this about you threatening to put David out on the street?
You don't think I'd do that, do you?
Well, he reckons you would.
Bernard, he was just intimidated. He was overwhelmed at the opulence of my new abode. Look, don't worry about it. Give him time and he'll think to himself, what am I doing sitting in this crummy dump on my own when I could be up at Mr. Vernon's place enjoying the high life?
Well, I hope you're right. I hate to see the lad upset.
PC Crane, Aidensfield Police, Mr. Pike.
What can I do for you, Constable?
Presumably, you've already been informed by the fire brigade, sir. The suspicion is the fire at your warehouse may have been started deliberately.
I have, yes. Kids, do you think?
In my experience, sir, it's generally schools they're inclined to burn down. You think of anyone else who might wish you any harm?
Well, I have my enemies. What successful businessman doesn't? I wouldn't have thought any of them hated me that much.
What about your staff?
Oh, our industrial relations here are excellent.
And the premises are insured, I assume?
Oh, yes.
Where were you last evening, sir?
At the golf club, having what I suppose you'd call a working dinner with Miss Stevenson here. I left about, 8:30, dropped her off and went home straight to bed.
So you were home at about
9 o'clock at the very latest, I suppose. Now you tell me something, Constable.
Of course, sir.
No disrespect intended. But if we are talking arson here, which we certainly seem to be, is this all that it really merits? The attentions of a mere constable?
These are very much preliminary inquiries, Mr. Pike. And it goes without saying that if a serious crime has been committed, it will, of course, be referred to a senior officer.
Where's the lovely Gina today, then?
Well, she's away for a week, enjoying herself. You'll have to be careful about your drinking now, Vernon. No chauffeur to ferry you around.
In my experience, Oscar, people who drive quality cars like mine tend not to get pulled over by our friends in the force.
Oh, really? Well, that's not the way I remember it. In my day, the traffic cops used to love pulling over the posh cars. I know I did.
Yes, well, the police force, like the times, have changed, obviously.
Of course, if you're desperate, there's always David.
Well, I suppose I could add him to the list of candidates. However, the list is already long and getting longer by the hour.
Oh, I can believe it. There must be hundreds of out-of-work chauffeurs all over Yorkshire just fighting for the privilege of driving someone like you around.
Well...
If I were you, I'd give David a call.
Yes, well, I suppose I could.
Mr. Vernon, what are you doing here?
I was just sort of passing. I thought I'd call in and see how you were getting on. So how are you getting on?
Oh, smashing, yeah.
Really?
Oh, no, it's great, you know, living on your own, being your own boss, like.
Got to be said for it, David. Being what you might call fancy-free.
Right.
I mean, it could get some people down, having no one to talk to all day. But I'm not one of them. Never have been.
No, me neither, no.
No. Anyway, something has come up. I just thought you might be interested. I thought the least I could do is offer you first refusal for old time's sake.
All right.
I'm in the market for a chauffeur just at present. And I was wondering whether you'd still be interested.
Right. I wouldn't have to go and live in that big old house, would I?
Oh, no, certainly not. No, all that's on offer is a job, David, not accommodation as well.
Right then, well, yeah, I will be then.
Good. Well, that's that then. There is one small thing I shall insist on.
Right. OK, where to first then?
Now then, Mr. Williams, how are you doing?
Well, put it this way. I can't see me opening the bowling for Yorkshire again for a bit.
Oh, dear. Well, I better have a word with Freddie Truman and tell him it's all down to him again, then. Now, talking about the fire, did you see anyone mucking about at the warehouse? Before it started, that is.
Oh, I'm afraid I didn't know. In fact, it was quiet as the grave, really. Before the fire, like.
I see. Well, if you do think of anything at all, just give us a bell.
I'll do that.
Hello? Yes. I see. Right. Thank you. Bye. That was Mrs. Watts on the phone, one of Mrs. Winstanley's neighbours. She said when she saw Olive last night, she was a bit under the weather, and when she went to check on her this morning, both the doors were locked and there was no response to her knocking.
Has she alerted the police?
Well, not yet, no, but she said that Olive is always up and about at first light.
Well, you better get on to them and ask them to send someone round in case we need to break in. I'll make my way round there now.
Right.
Steve, how'd you go on with Mr. Pike yesterday?
Well, he's got an alibi, all right. Spent the early part of the evening at the golf club. Dropped Naomi Stevenson off on his way home. Was in bed by 9.
Meanwhile, the warehouse blazes along merrily.
In fact, his chief concern seemed to be whether we're taking all this seriously enough.
Well, I trust you reassured him on that point.
Of course, Sarge.
What do we know about this Mr. Pike, anyway?
Well, he's a Rotarian, a respectable local businessman. Never had anything to do with us. Of course, there was that trouble with his wife, Beryl, a few years ago.
What trouble was that?
Well, she was the company secretary at the time. She got caught siphoning company money off into an offshore account, one of her own.
What happened to her?
Well, she got 5 years.
Was there any suspicion that Pike was in on it?
Well, he denied all knowledge of it. In fact, he gave evidence against her at the trial. The person that knows all about Pike is Oscar Blaketon.
Oscar?
Yeah, they're big golfing mates, leading lights of the local club.
I see.
Ashbury Police Station. Oh, hello, Jenny. It's Jenny, for you.
I'll take that in my office.
He's not a happy bunny at the present.
Jenny.
Hi, Dennis. Look, Liz asked me to ring you. We think one of our patients may have been taken ill at home. Can you send somebody around there, just in case we need to force the door?
Right. What's the address?
Still no signs of life, then?
I'm afraid not.
Right.
Hello? Call an ambulance, quick.
Have a quick look round. Make sure everything's secure.
All right.
I can't believe you're thinking of doing what I think you're thinking of doing.
What?
Have you any idea how much damage a powerful jet of water can do to paintwork?
Well, I've got to wash the bubbles off.
Yes, and preferably by hand and using a good quality wash leather, yes? Ah, hello, you must be Mr. Scripps. I'm your nearest neighbour, Amanda Buxton. Just popped in to say hello.
Some sort of problem, is there?
Well, I just arrived in time to save your beautiful Bentley from a fate worse than death, but it's been sorted, yes?
Good, good. Nice cup of tea?
Oh, well, that would be lovely, yes. Thank you. Ah. Thanks. Gosh, the times we had when the big Glossops owned the place, though. I mean, she was frightful, but their hunt ball was one of the highlights of the local social calendar.
An occasion I'm sure we can reinstate once I get my feet under the table, as it were.
Yeah?
A pot of Earl Grey, please, David.
What?
Earl Grey. Tea. There's a packet in the cupboard.
And a slice of lemon would be lovely.
And a slice of lemon? He's a nice lad, really, David. One of life's rough diamonds, Miss Buxton.
Call me Amanda, please.
Oh, right. Amanda.
Peter Pike. Well, I wouldn't call him a friend of mine exactly. We have the occasional round of golf together, that's all. What's it like? He's a bit of a lad. Some people like him. Other people can't stand the sight of him.
Which category does he fall into for you?
Ah, he's all right in small doses, I suppose.
What about his wife?
Vicious, vindictive, scheming. And those are her good points.
Well, she must have taken it pretty badly. Her own husband choosing to testify against her.
Well, that's putting it mildly.
So she, for one, wouldn't be averse to burning down this warehouse of his. If she weren't still in jail, that is.
But she isn't.
What?
Well, she was released some weeks ago.
Was she?
Put on your red dress, baby, 'cause we're going out tonight. Put on your red dress, baby, 'cause we're going out tonight.
Hello, can I help you? I'd like a word with Mr. Pike, please.
And your name?
Mrs. Pike, as was. Anyway.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid Mr. Pike isn't available at the moment.
Oh, I think you'll find he's available to me.
Beryl, what the devil are you doing here?
You mean you aren't glad to see me, darling?
I'm sorry, Mr. Pike. I did tell you you weren't free.
That's all right, Naomi. No problem.
Very pretty. Is she looking after you all right?
What do you want?
A few thousand would do for starters, just to set me up. Think of it as compensation, Peter, for the last 4 years of my life.
Well, 10 out of 10 for nerve anyway, Beryl.
Now, don't be petty. Your little empire wouldn't even be here if it weren't for me.
Don't flatter yourself, Beryl. Your creativity began and ended with your bookkeeping.
Oh, come on. You don't have to play the innocent with me.
Look, Beryl, I'm sorry you got sent down. I really am.
Of course you are. I'll never forget your face, how hurt you looked, giving evidence against me. Which, as my husband, you could quite easily have refused to do.
Are you surprised? Let's face it, you almost brought the entire company down with your financial shenanigans.
That might have washed with the jury 4 years ago, but at least have the good grace not to try it on me.
Very well. You want it straight, I'll give it to you straight. The day our divorce came through, that was it as far as I was concerned. Goodbye. Don't come round here bothering me again. It's over, Beryl.
Don't you believe it, Sunshine? Incidentally, I couldn't help noticing our old warehouse got burnt down.
So?
So, who's going to take the rap for that one, Peter? If the police should get suspicious.
Just go, will you?
I ended up making an absolute killing, even though I do say it myself.
It's modern art. Never really understood it. But as far as I'm concerned, Vernon, new money, quite as good as old. Business is business. And I should know, running one or two myself.
Really? That's very interesting, because I've got a little enterprise I've been mulling over for...
Oh, goodness me, I must go. Must get back to the horses. But thank you, Vernon. It's been a pleasure. Despite the lack of lemon. Oh, do you ride yourself at all, Vernon?
Well, I'm a bit rusty.
Well, I'm sure we can soon fix that. Shall we say tomorrow? 11 o'clock, riding lesson? Oh, but do get yourself a decent outfit. Might I suggest Skinner's of Skinner Street? But tell them I sent you, yes?
She's some lady, though, eh, David?
Oh, I suppose so. Do you like him toffee-nosed?
Do you know, David, you're going to have to do something about that working-class chip on your shoulder.
How is she?
She's badly concussed, I'm afraid. Nothing to be too concerned about under normal circumstances, of course, but at her age... I'll call round to the hospital in the morning and see how she's getting on.
She just tripped on something coming down the stairs, did she?
It looks that way. Only I found this. I am right in thinking that these are the sleeping pills we prescribed yesterday.
That's right. She says she can't sleep without them.
Well, she certainly would have slept well if she'd taken the dosage recommended on this bottle. A little too well, perhaps.
This is double her normal dose.
Lord knows what state she was in when she tried to come down those stairs.
Can I help you?
Yes, I hope you can. My name is Rosie Compton. I was run off the road and nearly killed the other night, and the other car didn't even stop. So I'd like something done about it, please.
Well, you better tell me exactly what happened.
Well, I was driving home from the pictures when suddenly this car came up behind me, really speeding, and blasted me to move over, but I couldn't. The road was too narrow. The next thing, it overtook me anyway, and in the process ran me off the road.
Right. When you said the other night, which night would that be?
This Tuesday, just gone.
At about what time?
9-ish. I'd been to the first house.
Did you manage to get a good look at this vehicle?
Oh, I did better than that. I got its number.
Where exactly did all this happen, Miss Compton?
Factory Lane.
Anywhere near where the fire was that night?
I just passed it, yeah.
In what direction was this vehicle coming from?
Back from where the fire was, I suppose. Must have been.
Didn't happen to get a good look at the driver, did you?
Afraid not.
Right. Well, Miss Compton, if I can have your current address.
Walmer Cottages.
Why didn't you report this to us on the night it happened?
Because I was so shaken up. Like I said, I was nearly killed.
Have you seen Olive?
Yes.
How is she?
She's feeling much better.
Oh, thank heavens for that, anyway. I think I should resign, Liz.
It's a bit early for that. Besides, it was my responsibility. I was the one who signed the prescription before it had even been filled out.
But we always do that with repeat prescriptions, especially when you're busy.
Well, then we've no business to, have we, Jenny? No matter how busy we are.
Morning, Alf.
That car number you asked me to check out.
Oh, yeah?
You'll never guess whose name it's registered in.
Good morning, Miss Buxton. Amanda, what a beautiful day.
It is indeed, Vernon, but you're not changed.
Well, I wondered if we could delay the lesson for a while. There's something I want to discuss with you. A small business proposition I'd like to put to you.
A business proposition? Would you mind? How exciting.
Down at the Union Hall. All wrong and wrong till midnight. Wrong fuss and fight till daylight. We gon' picture wang, wang, doodle all night long.
Good morning, Mr. Pike. The green Mini Cooper parked outside. Who does it belong to?
My secretary, Miss Stevenson.
Our information is that it's registered in your name.
That's because it's a company car, but she has exclusive use of it.
Nice work if you can get it, sir.
Well, it's not unusual for a valued member of any firm to be provided with a decent transport constable. It's common practice.
Of course, sir. Do you mind if I have a word with Miss Stevenson?
Certainly you can. Naomi, come in for a moment, please. Would you have any objection to me sitting in on this?
Not at all, sir, no.
Naomi, the constable here has something to ask you.
Oh?
According to Mr. Pike, the night the warehouse was set on fire, you had dinner at the golf club, is that right?
That's right.
After which you were dropped off at home at around about... what time was it again?
Around 9:15, I think.
And did you go out again in your own car after that?
No, why?
We have a witness who claims to have been run off the road by a car speeding away from the direction of the fire. And the registration number given to us matches the plates in the car outside. Your car.
But that's impossible.
Now, just a minute, Constable. You aren't seriously suggesting that my secretary here had something to do with the start of this damn fire, are you?
At this stage, I'm not suggesting anything, Mr. Pike. Merely following up a line of inquiry. Anyway, thanks for that, Miss Stevenson. And for your time, Mr. Pike.
One further thing, Constable, that may help. This witness of yours is female.
Well, I couldn't tell you that, sir.
Well, you may be aware that my wife's been in jail for the past 4 years for defrauding this company. She got out this week.
Yes, sir.
Well, that woman would stop at nothing to harm me if she could, since I was more or less instrumental in putting her behind bars. She's already been round here making threats.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
They can't seriously suspect me, surely.
Well, put it this way, my love. They're pretty stupid if they do.
Bernard, I didn't know you were here.
On my lunch break.
I brought my new neighbour, Miss Buxton, to show her the hearse. Amanda Buxton, my brother Bernard.
Hello, Bernard.
How do you do? What are you after, Vernon?
It's about your new upmarket funeral service, Bernard.
I haven't got a new upmarket funeral service. I told you, it's just a hobby.
Bernard, my sole interest in all this is to drag your funeral service kicking and screaming into the 20th century.
Whether I want to be dragged or not, right? How's this old hearse going to help that?
By attracting a considerably better off class of customer, that's how.
If you don't mind me saying, your entire approach to advertising this service is completely misplaced.
Oh, you think so, do you?
Oh, yes. Advertisements in the glossy county magazines. That's where we should be aiming.
That'd cost a fortune.
And I've got a new slogan for you. A funeral to die for. What do you think, then?
Well, you'd be wasting your time. I've not nearly finished renovating it yet.
Well, we've organised a couple of highly recommended local craftsmen who are coming here today to put the finishing touches to it.
Coming here today?
I told you I wanted to surprise you.
You've certainly managed that.
And there's more. Amanda, tell him.
A pair of matching horses will be made available as and when required.
Exciting, isn't it, Bernard?
Good. Well, let's get on with it.
So Beryl Pike comes out of jail, still blaming her husband for having her put away in the first place. And within 24 hours, his warehouse is burnt to the ground.
Which certainly puts her in the frame.
Pike claims she's been making threats. But what would she have to gain from burning the place down?
Old-fashioned revenge.
But it was insured. It's not as if Pike stood to lose anything. And there's his secretary, Naomi Stevenson. A witness sees her car speeding from the scene. Could she have done it?
The statements seem pretty convincing.
Did Ventress manage to get anything out of Sid Williams?
Apparently not.
Perhaps I'll have another word with him on the way home. Meanwhile, let's find out if Beryl Pike really is in the area. And you better get on with checking out this Rosie Compton character too.
Sarge.
Thank you, David. A good day's work, I'm sure you'll agree. Do you know, there's nothing like giving a family member a helping hand, and that Miss Buxton is such a generous lady.
Yeah. Well, if that's me done for the day, I'll be off.
David? Why don't you stop for dinner? It'll be like old times. In fact, we've got such an early start in the morning, you may as well stay overnight.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mr. Byrne, I can't. I've got to get home. I've got Alfred to look after. But I'll see you in the morning, though.
Hello, Olive. Hello. I brought you something to read.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Much better, thanks. And I'd be better still if I was at home.
Now, you know what hospitals always tell you. They won't keep you in a minute longer than they have to.
Well, I suppose that's true. And you've been so kind to me. And the doctor, coming to visit me.
Can you remember what happened, Olive?
I can remember not being able to sleep and getting up to make myself a cup of tea. Only, when I started to come downstairs, I suddenly went all woozy. And the next thing, I was in here.
Oh, dear. Well, at least there's no real harm done anyway.
Excuse me. I'm looking for a patient by the name of Williams. Sid. Jenny?
Oh, hello, Dennis.
How are you?
All right. You?
Look, can we talk?
Not now, Dennis, please. I'm sorry. I'm just not ready to at the moment. Sorry.
Right, thanks for letting me know. That was the hospital.
Oh?
Mrs. Winstanley's made a full recovery and they've sent her home.
Oh, that's great news.
Thank you.
And was it the pills?
Well, now that's the really odd thing about it. According to them, there was no indication that she'd overdosed in any way.
I see.
Rosie Compton, shoplifting, demanding with menaces, petty larceny. Not the sort of woman you want to take home to meet Mother. Last release from prison 3 weeks ago.
And it gets better, Sarge.
Yes?
Guess who's been a cellmate for the past few years? In fact, not just a cellmate, her soulmate, apparently.
Not Beryl Pike.
The very same, Sarge. And here's the interesting part. The address we've dug up for Beryl is the same one Rosie Compton gave me.
Really?
Did you get anything more out of Sid Williams?
Sid Williams?
The night watchman, Sarge, when you called to see him last night?
I didn't, actually. In fact, in view of these latest developments, that may not be necessary. No.
Now, what's that wretched dog doing here?
Oh, he's not hurting anybody.
He's upsetting the horses.
Well, he's got as much right to be here as they have. More, in fact.
Even more to the point, he's also annoying me, so kindly remove him.
Come on, Alfred. Come on. There. You stay there.
Is Mrs. Pike in at the moment?
Mrs. Pike?
Beryl Pike. She does live with you now, doesn't she?
So, how can I help you?
We're investigating a fire at your husband's premises, Mrs. Pike, and we have reason to believe it was started deliberately.
Ex-husband. And what's that got to do with me?
Well, do you find it rather a coincidence that your friend here was run off the road near the scene of the fire by a car which just happened to belong to your ex-husband's secretary?
Coincidences do happen, Sergeant.
Rarely, in my experience. If Naomi Stevenson had been speeding away from the fire just after it had been started, we would naturally assume that she was somehow involved.
Perhaps she was. Or she'd been put up to it by Peter.
Something else that you would like us to believe.
Now, why would I want to do that?
Oh, it's lovely to see you both. Do come in.
Are you feeling better?
Champion. Now I'm back in my own home. Oh, that is good.
Are these the new pills?
That's right. But I won't get around to using them for a few weeks yet, mind.
Really?
Well, it's this system I have, you see, Doctor. Do sit down.
Olive, how do you mean?
One bank holiday Monday, I ran out of tablets. And I had the devil's own job to get a new prescription. So ever since then, I've made sure that I'm one full prescription at least ahead of where I should be.
So you never took any of the new tablets?
No, dear. Have I done something wrong?
No.
No. No.
Oh, you had me worried there for a moment. Do sit down.
So what do you think, Sarge? Did they start the fire?
I think they just did their best to set Pike up with this cock and bull story about seeing Naomi's car. At least we can get them for perjury. As for the fire itself, I think Pike's probably our man.
So how do we prove it?
Well, what's the weak link in his story? Has to be Naomi Stevenson. She's got no form, certainly no hardened criminal. I think she's just covering up for him because she's sweet on him.
So, we shake a tree and see what falls out.
Let's bring her in.
Right, whenever you're ready, Vernon.
Right, David, up you get. Me? Well, who else? As I understand it, you are the official hearse driver round here.
Yeah, well, I had a very nasty experience last time I drove one of those.
Never mind that. This is just to familiarise yourself with the vehicle. Come on, get up.
Right, here are your ends. Nice and low. Just nice and low. There we are.
Good Lord! Oh, no! No. Hey, fellas, come on.
Well, thank heavens for Mrs. Winstanley and her secret system.
We have been really lucky.
I know we have.
And I do think, Jenny, you really need to sort things out. If nothing else, come to a decision about Dennis one way or the other. Because there's no doubt in my mind that none of this would have taken place if things had been, well, normal, shall we say.
So, Miss Stevenson, despite what you told us earlier, you now claim that at the time of the fire, Peter Pike was with you at your place. Have I got the story right?
It isn't a story. It happens to be the truth. I just didn't want everybody knowing about our relationship.
Right. And did he stay the entire night?
Yes.
And during this time, did he go out at all?
No.
And you would be happy to swear to that in court?
It won't come to court, though, will it?
Well, at least that's what Peter's told you, right?
He's innocent, that's why.
Well, let's just say, for argument's sake, that he isn't. You do realise that if he's found guilty of starting the fire, you'll go down too.
Not just as an accomplice to arson, but for perjury too.
Not a very appetising prospect. They're not very nice places, prisons. And all to cover Peter Pike's back.
What do you mean?
Well, surely you realise you're just being used here.
He would have had it worked out from the start, would Peter? Not just burning the place down, but having someone like you in line to give him an alibi.
Beryl Pike went to prison for him, Naomi. Are you prepared to do the same? I'll ask you one last time. Give you one more chance before we let the law take its course. Was Peter Pike with you the entire time on the night in question?
If I were to tell you he did pop out for an hour, would I still be facing charges myself?
Well, if you did, Naomi, what could you possibly be charged with?
At least nobody got hurt and no harm came to the horses.
Yes, no thanks to that imbecile of a man of yours.
Oh, I don't think we can blame David entirely for what happened. I mean, after all, it was the dog's fault.
Yes, it was his dog, which I had expressly forbidden him to allow anywhere near my horses. I'm sorry, Vernon, but either he goes or I go. It's as simple as that.
She gone, then?
Yes, David, she's gone. Miss Buxton and I had what you might call a difference of opinion. And as for horse riding, that's another upper-class activity that they can keep. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Vernon.
Peter Pike, I'm arresting you on suspicion of arson. I'm not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so. But what you say may be put into writing and given in evidence.
Sorry to disturb you, but I found your, Look, I'm really sorry about the hearse, Mr. Scripps.
Bernard, I'm more than willing to compensate you for any damage caused. Look, Is there anything that David and I can do while we're here to help?
Anything that needs doing, I can do myself, thanks. Besides, it could take weeks to get this back in working condition. Months, in fact. Even years.
You mean Mr. Vernon's going to have to give you £5,000 or I can't go home?
So that's how you got the money to go to their pictures. Get out of my sight! Go on, both of you!
My men responded to an accident report, as was their duty.
Duty, was it? To bully a woman and 2 kids in their own home until she takes an overdose?